The large round table in the center of the Galactic Council chamber gleamed under the bright lights. Around it sat representatives from 27 alien species. They all wore fancy clothes that showed their importance. At the far end of the table, 4 humans sat in plain blue uniforms. John Carter, the lead human ambassador, tried to keep his face calm as he listened to the Zorillian speaker. The tall, purple-skinned alien was talking down to the humans again. "Your request for mining rights in the Proxima system is denied," said Zor, the Zorillian ambassador. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "Your species lacks the experience to handle such resources properly." Carter looked at his team. Lisa Hughes, a former military leader, narrowed her eyes. Steve Bennett, their science expert, shook his head slightly. Kelly Martinez, who studied alien cultures, wrote something on her tablet. This was the 5th request the Council had turned down this month. For 3 years, Earth had tried to work with these aliens. For 3 years, they were treated like children. "May I remind the Council," Carter said, standing up slowly, "that humans have successfully managed asteroid mining in our own system for over 50 years without incident." A ripple of whispers spread through the alien representatives. The Calpurnian ambassador, who looked like a tall blue woman with silver hair, laughed softly. 50 years is nothing. My species has mined asteroids for 10,000 years. Experience is not just about time, Carter replied. It's about results. Our efficiency rates are higher than 4 of the Council's founding members. The Zorillian made a dismissive gesture with his 4-fingered hand. Numbers can be manipulated. We need proof of human reliability over centuries, not decades. Carter felt his patience finally break. He had prepared for this moment, hoping it wouldn't come. He looked at his team again. They all gave small nods. "Very well," Carter said. He stood up straighter. "The United Earth Coalition has a statement to make." The room grew quiet. Even the floating jellyfish-like Medusans stopped their constant movement to listen. "For 3 years, we have come to this table in good faith. We have followed your rules. We have shared our technology. We have opened our borders to your observers. In return, we have been denied fair access to resources, restricted from expanding to suitable colony worlds, and treated as lesser beings." Carter paused to look around the table. Some aliens looked surprised. Others seemed bored. The Zorillian representative just stared with his 3 yellow eyes. "Today, humanity withdraws from these peace talks. We will return to our borders and determine our own path forward without Council oversight or approval." Now the room erupted in noise. Some representatives stood up. Others called for order. The Council leader, an ancient turtle-like being named Xender, raised his walking stick and thumped it 3 times. "Ambassador Carter," Xender said in his slow, deep voice, "this is a hasty decision. Perhaps we can discuss some compromises." Carter shook his head. "The time for compromise was 3 years ago. We came seeking partnership. You offered subjugation disguised as guidance. Our decision is made." The 4 humans gathered their tablets and stood up. As they walked toward the exit, the Calpurnian ambassador whispered to her assistant, but her voice carried in the suddenly quiet room. "Let them go. What harm could one primitive species possibly do?" Lisa Hughes heard this and almost turned around, but Carter placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Not now," he said quietly. "They'll understand soon enough." The humans walked out of the grand chamber with straight backs and calm faces. None of them spoke until they were in their shuttle heading back to the Earth Embassy. "So," Bennett said, breaking the silence, "Plan B." Carter nodded, looking out at the stars. "Plan B, send the coded message to Director Frost. Tell him it's time to activate Project Prometheus." Martinez looked worried. "The Council will be watching us closely now." "Let them watch," Carter replied. "They've been looking at us for 3 years and haven't really seen us at all. That's their mistake." As their shuttle pulled away from the Council station, the 4 humans felt a strange mix of worry and relief. The peace talks had failed, But now humanity could stop pretending to be less than they were. The real work was about to begin. 6 months passed since the humans left the peace talks. The Galactic Council sent 10 messages to Earth. None got a reply. Council spies tried to find out what humans were doing, but they had trouble getting past Earth's new security systems. Deep under the Rocky Mountains on Earth, Richard Frost walked through a large room filled with busy people. As the defense director, he was in charge of Project Prometheus, the project that would change everything. Director Frost called a woman in a white lab coat. Her name was Alice Wayland, the lead scientist. "We have good news about the ship engines." Frost walked over to her desk, where a screen showed a glowing blue cube floating in the air. "The gravity drive works better than we thought," Dr. Wayland said with a smile. "The test ship went from Earth to Mars in 3 minutes." Frost nodded. This was very good news. The fastest council ships needed at least an hour for the same trip. "How much longer until our first real ship is ready?" he asked. 3 weeks, sir. The first 5 ships are almost done. The shields work well too. In our tests, they stopped all types of weapons we know the Council uses. Frost looked around the busy room. For years, humans had hidden their best ideas from the Council. They knew the aliens would either take the ideas or tell humans they weren't ready for such powerful tools. Now, without the Council watching and judging, humans were building things they had only dreamed about before. "What about our special project?" Frost asked quietly. Dr. Wayland led him to a small room with a single object in the center. It looked like a smooth silver egg about the size of a car. "The phase shifter works," she said. "It can make a ship partly move out of normal space. Council weapons will pass right through our ships when this is turned on." This was what Frost had been waiting for. Council ships were bigger and had more guns, but they couldn't hit what wasn't fully there. Meanwhile, on the moon base, hundreds of soldiers trained in new ways to fight in space. Captain Sam Miller watched as his team practiced using the new spacesuits. "Remember," he told them, "Council soldiers aren't used to quick changes or surprise attacks. They fight by their rulebooks. We don't have to." The soldiers nodded. They wore thin suits that let them move much faster than the bulky ones the Council used. Each suit had a small gravity device that let them change direction quickly in space. 10 more practice runs," Miller ordered. "Then we test the new guns." Back on Earth, in a room under the old United Nations building, John Carter met with world leaders. The large screen on the wall showed the new fleet of Earth ships being built in secret factories all around the solar system. "The Council thinks we're sulking," Carter told them. "They think we'll come crawling back when we realize we need them." "When will we show them how wrong they are?" asked the president of the African Union. Carter looked at his tablet, checking the latest reports from Frost and the military. "Soon," he said. "We're nearly ready. But we won't start a fight. We'll wait for them to make the first move. They always underestimate us. That will be their downfall." In space, near Jupiter's moon Europa, humans had built a mining base. The Council didn't know that inside the innocent-looking buildings, 6 new warships waited. Each ship had the new gravity drive and phase shifter technology. Admiral Susan Blackwood stood on the bridge of the largest ship, named Vanguard. She watched as her crew ran final tests on all systems. "Admiral," said her second in command, "all ships report ready status. We just need the order to launch." Blackwood nodded. "Keep everything hidden for now. The Council will give us a reason to show ourselves soon enough." She looked out at the stars. They always do. Far away in the Council chamber, the alien leaders were getting worried about the human silence. "Perhaps we should send a stronger message," suggested the Zorillian ambassador. "A small show of force near one of their mining bases might remind them of their place." The Council leader looked troubled. "I'm not sure that's wise." But the other aliens agreed with the Zorillian. They didn't know they were about to make a terrible mistake. The mining base on Europa looked small and weak from space. That's why the Torrid raiders chose it as their target. The 5 torrid ships had spiked hulls that made them look like metal sea urchins. Each ship carried 30 raiders ready to steal whatever they could find. "This will be easy," said the torrid leader to his crew. "Humans have no real defenses here. The Council says they're still using old technology." The raiders moved closer to Europa, their weapons ready. They expected the humans to send a distress call to the Council. That's what always happened when small outposts were attacked. Inside the Europa mining base, an alarm sounded. The base director, Frank Willis, smiled when he saw the torrid ships on his screen. "Right on time," he said, just as Admiral Blackwood predicted. He pressed a button on his desk. "Admiral, we have visitors. 5 torrid raider ships approaching." In her hidden ship under Europa's icy surface, Admiral Susan Blackwood nodded. "Thank you, Director. We'll handle it from here." She turned to her crew on the bridge of the Vanguard. "Launch all ships. Standard formation. No casualties if possible, but make sure none of them escape." 6 human ships rose from their hiding places behind Jupiter's shadow. They didn't look impressive. They were smaller than the torrid ships and had smooth, simple designs. But inside, they carried technology the Council races had never seen. The torrid raiders noticed the human ships too late. They tried to turn their weapons toward the new threat. "All ships, engage phase shifters," ordered Blackwood. "Let's show them what humans can do." On the torrid leader's screen, the human ships seemed to flicker and become partly see-through. The raiders fired their weapons, but the energy beams passed right through the human ships without causing any damage. "What is this?" yelled the torrid leader. "Our weapons aren't working." The human ships moved with impossible speed, circling the raiders in seconds. Then they fired, not with destructive weapons that would kill, but with precise shots that disabled the torrid ships' engines and weapons. In less than 4 minutes, all 5 raider ships floated helpless in space. Not one human shot had missed its target. Admiral Blackwood stood from her captain's chair. "Send them emergency air and power. Then send the footage to all Council species." She paused. "No message attached. Let them wonder." In the Council chamber 2 days later, the alien representatives watched the recording of the battle with shocked silence. They saw human ships move in ways that should be impossible. They saw weapons miss human ships that seemed to fade in and out of reality. They saw precision that their best gunners couldn't match. "This cannot be real," said the Zorillian ambassador, his 3 eyes wide with disbelief. "These must be tricks. Humans don't have this technology." The Calpurnian ambassador shook her silver-haired head. "Our experts have checked the recording. It's real. Those ships used some kind of gravity manipulation we've never seen before, and some kind of phase-shifting technology that made our weapons useless." "But how?" asked another alien. 6 months ago, they were asking us for help with simple mining rights. How did they advance so quickly?" An old Meridian stood up slowly. His species was known for their wisdom. Perhaps they didn't advance quickly. Perhaps they were hiding their true abilities all along. The Council chamber fell silent as they considered this idea. It was troubling. If humans had hidden this technology, what else were they hiding? "We should open talks with them again," suggested the Meridian. "Offer them better terms." The Zorillian stood up angrily. "We will not beg humans for friendship. They are still just one small species. This was one small victory against raiders, not a real fight against Council forces." The Council leader looked worried. "I fear making humans our enemies would be a grave mistake." On Earth, John Carter watched the Council's reaction through their spies. He smiled slightly. "And this is just the beginning," he said quietly. "They haven't seen anything yet." Panic spread through the Galactic Council. Emergency meetings were called day after day. The alien leaders argued about what to do about the humans. "We must speak with them immediately," said the Meridian ambassador. His wrinkled blue skin showed his age and wisdom. "Offer them full membership in the Council." "That's crazy," shouted the Zorillian representative, pounding his fist on the table. They were beneath us 6 months ago. Now you want them as equals. Better as equals than as enemies, replied the Calpurnian ambassador. After 3 days of argument, they finally agreed. They would send their most important representative, High Counselor Xephren, to Earth. Xephren was tall and thin with golden skin. He had been part of the council for over 200 years. Everyone respected him. Bring them generous offers. The council leader told Xephren. We need humans as friends, not enemies. Xephren's ship took 5 days to reach Earth. As they approached, the alien crew stared in shock at what they saw. Earth had changed. Big defense platforms now circled the planet. New shipyards floated in space. Their scanners showed hundreds of ships with strange energy readings. How did they build all this so quickly? Asked Xephren's assistant. I don't think they built it quickly, Xephren replied quietly. I think they hid it from us for years. A message came from Earth. A man named Nathan Cole would meet them at an orbital station. Cole was Earth's new diplomatic officer. Xephren's ship docked at a large space station. Inside, everything looked clean and new. The aliens were led to a meeting room where Nathan Cole waited. He was a middle-aged man with dark skin and a calm face. Welcome to Earth Space, High Counselor, Cole said politely. It's been a long time since we had council visitors. Xephren sat across from Cole. I bring greetings from the Galactic Council. We wish to restart our talks with Earth. Cole nodded but said nothing. Xephren continued. The Council has reconsidered your requests. We are prepared to offer Earth full membership status. You would have equal voting rights with founding members. Access to all space territories you requested. Mining rights in the Proxima system. Cole listened with a blank face. When Xephren finished, Cole took a deep breath. High Counselor, the time for that particular conversation has passed. Earth is no longer interested in joining your council. Xephren looked surprised. But these are generous terms, better than any new species has ever received. 6 months ago, these terms would have been welcomed, Cole replied. Now things have changed. We have changed. Cole tapped a screen on the table. A map of space appeared, showing Earth's new territory. It was much larger than before. We have established our own borders, Cole explained. We have made trade agreements with the Frillin and Jutari systems. They found our terms more fair than the Council's. The Frillin and Jutari were smaller alien groups that had always been pushed around by the Council. Now they had allied with humans. We are not looking to join your council, Cole continued. We are, however, prepared to discuss trade agreements between equals. Xephren tried to hide his worry. The Council has stood for 10,000 years. All species eventually join us. Cole smiled slightly. Perhaps it's time for new traditions. Meanwhile, on the Zorillian homeworld, military leaders watched recordings of the human ships. They studied how the ships moved and fought. We are still stronger, said General Kraz, the Zorillian military commander. We have more ships, more weapons. But their technology, started one officer, was lucky against simple raiders. Kraz interrupted. Against our best battle group, they would fail. The Council is wrong to fear humans. Kraz looked at a map showing a human colony on a planet called Ta City. Perhaps we should remind everyone who truly rules this galaxy, he said. Prepare our best ships. We will show these humans their proper place. Back on Earth, John Carter and Richard Frost watched the meeting with Xephren on a screen. They're scared, Frost said with a smile. Some are, Carter replied. But not all of them. The Zorillians are preparing to attack our Ta City colony. How do you know? We have friends now, even among council worlds. Not everyone agrees with their leaders. Frost looked worried. Is the colony ready? Carter nodded. Governor West has everything in place. The Zorillians are about to make a very big mistake. The Zorillian battle group was the pride of their fleet. 20 large warships and 30 smaller attack vessels moved through space toward the human colony on Ta City. Each ship carried weapons that could destroy cities. Their hulls were covered with armor that had never been broken. General Kraz stood on the bridge of the lead ship. He watched the stars with his 3 yellow eyes. "How long until we reach the human colony?" he asked. 6 hours, General, replied his second-in-command. "Our scouts report minimal defenses, just a few small ships and basic shield generators on the ground." Kraz made a sound like rocks grinding together. To Zorillians, this was laughter. "The Council fears these humans for nothing," he said. "After today, humans will know their place again." On Ta City, Governor Daniel West received the warning about the incoming Zorillian fleet. The colony was home to about 50,000 humans. It had been established 5 years ago on a planet with blue skies and 2 small moons. West didn't call for people to leave. Instead, he called a meeting with his defense team in the colony's central building. "Are we ready?" he asked his chief of security, Amy Peterson. "Yes, sir. All systems are in place. The new shield is fully charged. Orbital platforms are in stealth mode." West nodded and pressed a button on his desk. A secure line opened to Earth. "Earth Command, this is Governor West. Contingency Theta is activated. I repeat, Contingency Theta is activated." A voice replied, "Understood, Governor. Help is on the way, but you likely won't need it." West smiled slightly. "That's the plan." 5 hours later, the Zorillian fleet arrived at Ta City. From space, the human colony looked small and weak. It covered only a small area of the planet's surface. The sensors on the Zorillian ships detected simple shield generators and a few defensive weapons. "Pathetic," said General Kraz. "Begin the attack. Show them our power." The Zorillian ships fired their main weapons. Huge energy beams hit the colony's shields. The Zorillians expected the shields to break immediately. They didn't. The energy was absorbed completely. The colony's shields glowed briefly, but showed no sign of damage. "Impossible," said Kraz. "Fire again. All ships." The entire fleet fired at once. The space around the colony lit up with weapon fire. Again, the shields absorbed everything. "General," said a worried officer, "our sensors are detecting strange energy readings around the planet." Suddenly, a human voice came through their communication system. On the screen appeared a woman in a simple uniform. She had dark hair and serious eyes. The name on her uniform said Captain Michelle Rivera. "Zorillian Fleet, this is Captain Rivera of Earth Defense Forces. This colony is under Earth protection. You have 30 seconds to withdraw." Kraz was furious. "How dare you threaten us? We are the most powerful fleet in the galaxy." Captain Rivera's face showed no emotion. 20 seconds remaining. "Prepare all weapons." Kraz ordered his fleet. "Move closer and attack with everything." As the Zorillian ships moved toward the colony, something strange happened. All around the planet, objects suddenly appeared. They had been invisible before, hidden by some advanced stealth technology. There were dozens of orbital defense platforms, each one pointed at the Zorillian fleet. 10 seconds, said Captain Rivera. "They're bluffing," Kraz told his crew. "Continue the attack." "Time's up," said Rivera. Then she disappeared from the screen. The orbital platforms fired, but not with normal weapons. Instead, they released pulses of energy that passed through the Zorillian ship shields as if they weren't there. The energy didn't destroy the ships, it simply shut them down. Engines stopped. Weapons went dark. Life support systems kept working, but nothing else. In less than 3 minutes, the entire Zorillian battle group, the pride of their military, floated helpless in space. From his ship, now lit only by emergency lights, General Kraz watched in shock as a single human vessel approached. It was smaller than his smallest attack ship. The human voice returned to his communication system. "This was a demonstration," Captain Rivera said. "No lives were taken. Your life support will continue working. Rescue ships will arrive in 8 days. We suggest you use this time to reconsider your opinion of humans. News of what happened at Ta City spread quickly across the galaxy. It became known as the Ta City Incident, the day the most powerful Zorillian battle group was defeated without a single shot being fired in return, and without a single casualty on either side. The Council was now truly afraid. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting after the Ta City incident. Representatives from all member species gathered in the Great Hall. Fear filled the room. The Zorillian battle group had 50 ships, said the Calpurnian ambassador. The best ships in the galaxy. And humans disabled them all without a fight. How is this possible? Asked another alien. 6 months ago, they were just a simple species asking for mining rights. The council leader raised his hand for quiet. We must understand humans better. We have clearly missed something important about them. On a small planet near the edge of council space, Dr. Kevin Perez sat in his office. He was a human anthropologist who had stayed behind when Earth left the peace talks. He had many alien friends, and he wanted to continue his research. Lately, his communication device hadn't stopped beeping. Everyone wanted to talk to him now. Everyone wanted to know about humans. The door to his office opened. A tall Meridian and a floating Medusan entered. Dr. Perez, said the Meridian, the Council requests your presence. They wish to hear about human history and development. Perez smiled slightly. Now they're interested, after ignoring my reports for years. The Medusan's tentacles waved nervously. Please, Doctor. The Council fears what humans might do next. 2 days later, Perez stood before the entire Galactic Council. Hundreds of alien eyes watched him. You asked me here to explain humans, he began. But you've had my reports for years. You just never read them. He touched a control, and a picture of Earth appeared in the air. Humans developed on what you would call a death world. Our gravity is higher than most council worlds. Our weather is more extreme. Our planet has more natural disasters. He showed images of hurricanes, volcanoes, and earthquakes. But the key to understanding humans isn't our planet. It's our history, specifically how we respond to problems. Perez showed a timeline of human development. When humans face challenges, we don't just overcome them. We transform because of them. Our greatest advances came during our hardest times. He pointed to different points on the timeline. This was a world war, terrible destruction, but it led to nuclear power, radar, and computers. This was a space race between competing nations. It gave us satellite technology and new materials. This was a global illness. It improved our medicine and remote work systems. The aliens watched in silence as Perez continued. By pushing humans away, by treating us as lesser beings, you created the perfect conditions for what humans do best: adapt and overcome. The technologies we showed at Ta City, we've been developing them for decades. We just didn't share them because you never treated us as equals. One brave Zorillian spoke up. But why hide your capabilities? Why pretend to be less advanced? Perez smiled. An old human saying, never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. We weren't sure if you were friends or enemies. Your actions answered that question. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Earth continued to expand its influence. They made trade deals with smaller alien species that the Council had always ignored. These species found that humans offered fair terms and respected their sovereignty. The Freelan, small purple beings known for their mining skills, doubled their production after getting human gravity technology. The Jutari, insect-like traders, now used human phase shift devices to protect their cargo from raiders. On Earth, John Carter met with the United Earth Coalition. The room was filled with leaders from all human nations. The Council is studying us now, Carter told them. They're trying to understand what they missed. Will they attack? Asked a worried representative. No, Carter replied confidently. The Zorillians tried that. No one else will make the same mistake. So what happens next? Asked another leader. Richard Frost, who sat next to Carter, smiled. We've received requests from 32 species, not just the small ones the Council ignores. Even some Council members want to talk to us directly. About what? The first representative asked. About joining a new organization, Carter said. One where all members are truly equal. President Phillips calls it the Terran Cooperative. And the Council? Someone asked. They'll have to decide, Carter replied. Join us as equals or watch as half their members leave them for something better. Across the stars, a shift in power had begun. And it all started when humans walked away from the peace talks. 1 year after leaving the peace talks, Earth hosted its own summit. Representatives from 32 alien species arrived at a beautiful space station orbiting Earth. The station was shaped like a wheel with spokes leading to a center hub. Each spoke had areas designed to make different species comfortable. The main meeting room had a round table. There were no high seats or low seats. Everyone sat at the same level, a small detail that many guests noticed and appreciated. Ryan Phillips, the newly elected United Nations president, stood to address the gathering. He was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. Today marks the beginning of something new, he said. We call it the Terran Cooperative. This is not a replacement for the Galactic Council. It is a different approach to working together. The aliens listened carefully. Some took notes. Others recorded Phillips' words. The cooperative has 3 simple rules, Phillips continued. First, all members maintain their independence. No one tells others how to run their worlds. Second, all share technology that helps everyone. Third, all defend each other if attacked. A small Freeland raised his purple hand. What about larger species who might try to bully us? Phillips smiled. That's why we're here together. The Jutari are experts at trade. The Freeland know mining better than anyone. Humans have some useful defense technology. Together, we are stronger than separately. As the summit continued, news arrived that the Galactic Council had officially recognized the Terran Cooperative. They had also punished the Xerillians for attacking the human colony without permission. More surprising, 7 council members had asked to join the cooperative while remaining in the council. They want to have feet in both camps, John Carter told President Phillips privately. They see which way the wind is blowing. On the space station's observation deck, Admiral Susan Blackwood stood with Carter. They looked down at Earth, glowing blue and green below them. Did you think we'd end up here when you walked out of those talks? Blackwood asked. Carter smiled slightly. I hoped we'd find our own path. I never imagined they'd be following us down it. He pointed to a group of alien representatives talking excitedly with human scientists. They're discussing the gravity drive technology. We're sharing it with all cooperative members. Is that wise? Blackwood asked. It took us decades to develop. That's the difference between us and the Council, Carter replied. They hoard knowledge. We share it. That's why they'll eventually join us or fade away. 5 years passed. The balance of power in the galaxy shifted dramatically. The Terran Cooperative grew to include 64 species. Their combined territories covered nearly half the galaxy. The Galactic Council still existed, but it had changed. It removed the rules that placed newer species below older ones. It started sharing more technology. It had learned from its mistake. The species that once saw humans as primitive now sent their brightest students to Earth universities. They wanted to learn what they call the human perspective, the ability to turn problems into opportunities. On the anniversary of Earth's departure from the peace talks, a special meeting was held. The leaders of both the cooperative and the council attended. They signed new agreements that allowed free movement and trade between their territories. As they signed, the Xerillian representative approached John Carter, who now served as Earth's senior ambassador. We were wrong about humans, the Xerillian said, his voice humbler than any human had ever heard from his species. We thought your flexibility was weakness. We didn't understand that adaptability is the greatest strength of all. Carter nodded. That's the irony. By trying to keep us down, You forced us to rise higher than we might have otherwise." Later that night, Carter sat alone in his office, looking at an old photo. It showed him and his team walking out of the council chamber that day long ago. "Sometimes," he said to himself, "the best thing you can do in a bad situation is simply walk away and build something better." Across the galaxy, millions of species continued their lives. But now they did so in a community where cooperation replaced control, where differences were valued rather than feared, and where no one species dominated all others. It had taken humans leaving the peace talks for the galaxy to find true peace.